quarterback here at Alabama, probably not a prospect, but, is he somebody that people are going to take a chance on maybe this year?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the 40-yard dash he ran yesterday, the day before at Alabama's Pro Day. I think even Rappaport had him at 4.37. There were other people who had him like in the mid 4.4s. So to me, that matches. That matches what you see on the tape because, to me, the games, especially for him as a runner, the games that stick out are, Georgia earlier this year where they just get him moving on sweeps and he's just unstoppable up open field. And then against LSU this year, maybe a little bit more as an inside runner where he showed his ability to, be elusive in the middle of the field and really explode once he gets to the secondary. Like, to me, that plus a real deal, strong NFL arm, I think. It's going to get him drafted where I have no idea. Pegging him where he's going to get drafted. I feel pretty confident saying it's not the first round, but 4.3 with a big arm might entice someone. It's just when you start actually watching him play, he is like the streakiest quarterback I think I've seen in some time. Because if you've seen him play or you watch Alabama play this year, sometimes him and Ryan Williams, the freshman they had this year, who should be allowed to declare for the NFL draft. That's how good he is. They had some magic on deep balls. And every once in a while, Milroe, when his feet are set and he's got time in the pocket, man, he can uncork some incredible passes down the field. But a lot of the times it's just not quite where it needs to be, or really I think what gets him in the most trouble is his process in the pocket can be pretty bad sometimes where, he's really slow to read things out, really slow to react to pressure. And that's gotten Alabama in trouble a couple of times last year. I think even against Oklahoma where, he's not seeing the field well, he gets sacked. And the next thing you know, those are drive killers. So, you're putting yourself in danger for sacks, strip sacks. That's got to lower your draft ceiling some. And like accuracy over the middle of the field is not all that consistent. But man, I think we've seen teams like even like kind of like Jalen Hurts, although he's a better athlete, Jalen Hurts, where he's like, okay, you can run and throw a deep ball. Maybe we can figure out some other things around the way. Although Jalen Hurts is a more consistent passer than he was that last season at Oklahoma compared to what we saw from Milroe at Alabama. But I just feel like at this point, knowing what we know about NFL teams, they're looking at a 21, 22-year-old with a big arm who can run. They'll give him a chance. And I that's all. It's really all I can say because I don't know if there's a great chance of that one working out. But we'll be seated for the preseason games. I can promise you that.
Yeah, he'll be a preseason daily fantasy moneymaker because, this guy, if he hits, he's from a fantasy angle, he's going to be somebody that we talk about because, again, he rushes, all that stuff. But I'm glad you brought up the point about Jalen Hurts where I thought in that draft process, people couldn't quite shake the memory of him at Alabama because I thought he was pretty damn good in that last season at Oklahoma and showed a lot more development as a quarterback that I think he kind of got painted a little bit too much in the brush of what he was early in his career. We didn't really see that full development from Jalen Milroe. Now, I do think if he, again, like ceiling comparison is maybe he could be a poor man's Jalen Hurts because he's got the tools, the mobility is real. You could design something out of that. I think like a floor comparison is, we're talking about a guy who maybe people want to switch positions with him at some point, whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's what we'd be talking about with Jalen Milroe. But yeah, I could see somebody on day 2, probably round 3 would be much more acceptable than round 2. Like Hurts was a second round pick. Again, Milroe's not that type of prospect. Like just saying, hey, we've got an entrenched starter. Maybe we have an entrenched starter and an entrenched backup. Maybe the starter's a little older. I can't really think of a team off the top of my head, but we want to maybe develop this guy. We're a quarterback factory. Obviously, that's what the Eagles branded themselves as. Maybe he's the Eagles' long-term backup quarterback. I don't know. That wouldn't totally surprise me if they made that sort of decision because they always have extra picks and they do view themselves as that factory. I think someone's going to want to take the chance on him, and it will be probably higher than people might think.
You remember that little stint a few years ago where the Rams had a ton of quarterback injuries and Sean McVay got obsessed with like John Wolford for a few games.
John Wolford, yes.
And just let him run like read option stuff. Maybe the Rams are the Milroe team where it's like, all right, We got Stafford. I guess Jimmy G's our backup. But hey, in the red zone, we could dice up some fun plays with this guy, because you see when he gets the ball in space, he's really tough to get down. He's explosive. He's strong. He's really fast in a straight line. So I do think some team is going to look at it. Maybe it's the Dolphins, where they look at it like, man, this guy's not ready to start, but I know he's got NFL ready athleticism. So maybe we can figure out some packages for him on the field that don't involve him, dropping back and throwing the ball off all that much.
That Rams one it's pretty good. I like that a lot. Let's hope we're clipping that one as like Charles McDonald called the Jalen Milroe Rams draft pick. Because I think Sean McVay is one of these guys, like he just gets a little bored with one thing, wants to try something else. I think there's a part of him that obviously that happened with Jared Goff. He wanted to bench Jared Goff for John Wolford. He like almost did a couple of times in that little stretch of Rams football. I think there's a part of him, like even with the Stafford stuff this year, was like, what if we just did something different, just for the sake of it? That would obviously be very different if they went down the Jalen Milroe road in a couple of years when Stafford's ready to hang it up. And they're the perfect sort of team of what I outlined. We got a backup. We got an older starter. Let's try to figure this out in a couple of years.